Everybody, welcome to the Tech Prize Biz Shops session on business plan development. And we are honored this morning to have Mary Fischer-Tracy joining us from the Small Business Development Center at UW Parkside. And I'm going to give a little brief introduction for Mary. She is currently the interim director at the SBDC in Kenosha. Prior to that, she worked as a business advisor with the SBDC for the last 3.5 years. She has a well-rounded background as a business consultant, as well as a small business owner, which is so incredibly helpful when you're counseling business owners. And she's been a lender at WIBIC and GOS Bank and many other banks over a 20-year span. And I have had the privilege and honor of knowing Mary for at least the last 5 years. And she's just an exceptional resource for small business owners. So a few housekeeping items I wanted to mention. This is an interactive session. So if anybody has any questions as we go through the process, feel free to ask those questions via the chat, and Karan will be monitoring the chat for us, or simply just call them out. So what we're doing today is we're doing a little bit different type of presentation. It's a fireside chat. And I'll basically be asking Mary some questions, and then she'll be sharing some excellent information for you about the SBDC and about business plan development. And so let's get started. Okay. So Mary, can you tell me how the Small Business Development Center provides education, training at no cost for small business owners to help them to be smart at managing and growing their business, please?
Hello, everyone. I think what I'd like to do is explain to you what the SBDC does and is. We are a part of the SBA, so the Federal Small Business Administration. They give us money to help small business owners like you to start, run, and grow your business. And the point of that is they know small businesses are very impactful in our economy. And so they're giving us money to help you without charging you for it. Business consultants are a very expensive part of having a business. Sometimes it's super necessary, but we provide that one-on-one service for you free. So that's kind of what we do. We do education not only through actual education like classes, but our one-on-one consulting, you're learning from us as well. Because I was a small business owner at times, and so I made mistakes like everybody does. Nobody knows everything. And there are people who will tell you. So we provide that kind of education. We provide education for the entrepreneur, someone who's just starting out, has an idea, has a passion, really wants to do their own boss, make their own money. And so we are able to help them with our entrepreneurial training program. And that is called ET program. We work with you to do a business plan. We have an actual instructor and curriculum that we go through on a 10-week basis. By the end of that, you could have your business plan done if you do your homework every time. You put a lot into it, but you actually have another 3 months then to finish it.
I would like to give you an idea of how the SBDCs came into being. It's called a Small Business Development Center. And there are 13 of those throughout the state of Wisconsin, but like almost 200 of them throughout the nation. And what it is the Small Business Administration, which is a federal program, gives us some money to help small business owners for free. So we help you start a business, grow your business, manage your business, and we can do that with one-on-one consulting. So it's very cost effective for you because you get a very well-educated person to help you start your business. And believe me, that is a very important thing to have. So with that, we do a lot of different things. First, we do use education to help you start your business and manage it. But what we do first is the entrepreneurial training program, and that's a 6-month program that we like to get to know you through by, I'm sorry, I'm losing my words. Oh my gosh, what's going on? The entrepreneurial training program, which is a 6-month program, and we actually set up a course for 10 weeks that you guys get to go to, and we walk you through the planning of a business plan. And the reason you want to have a business plan when you start your business is basically because you need a plan. I mean, you don't go on a trip without a map. You don't build a house without a blueprint. It's a blueprint for your business, and it's a blueprint for you moving forward. We really stress that point. And the other part of that is you need it for financing. So those are some of the ways we educate you besides our one-on-one consulting. Did you have another question that you wanted to ask?
Sure, Mary. So how do you help companies launch and become strong and successful? What are some of the things? I know you described a few things that you offer, but what other sorts of strategies do you work with small businesses to help them?
Well, besides helping people start, I've had conversations with business owners. One specifically comes to mind where they needed to pivot. They needed to do something to increase their sales revenue and to fix their financing. That was a big part of their problem. So I went in and I met with the financial advisor or their finance person, the owner, and their sales guy. And we just kind of like pounded it through, like, what is everybody doing? And then I asked them to set up to do some different activities that I needed from them. For example, I needed to know where the sales were coming from for the next 3 months, what was their pipeline. And honestly, they couldn't even tell me that because they had lost so much during that. So, and now they were being kicked out of their bank. So it was very tough. And, but they reached out, they got different financing because we could find a lender that was understanding, and it wasn't a regular bank, but it was still a way to get them refocused, refinanced, and in the right direction. And so they gave me a printout of everything, all their business coming forward and who they were going to get. And we just set up a timeline. And so today they're doing pretty good. And that makes me really happy when something like that happens. But there are times where people, business owners are not always coachable. And that's probably one of the biggest problems for them, because when you think you know everything, and you're not willing to learn from your advisors, you're not going to do well. You should really be coachable. Learn from what people say. You don't have to do it all, but be open to learning from them and trying new things.
Excellent. Well,
So-
those stories, oh, I'm sorry, those stories you just described were the one about the success story was wonderful to hear, because I think with the COVID and how it's impacting businesses these days, there are probably going to be many more businesses that you're going to consult with, that you're going to work with to help them to fine tune their and to create a business plan where maybe they haven't had to do that in the past. And perhaps maybe they're pivoting, they're moving into a different direction simply because the type of business they had originally offered was more face to face, and now they need to just rethink that whole process. So tell us how that's going. Are you seeing a lot more activity, and how do you approach those businesses? Because I perceive those numbers are going to be on the rise as we move through the rest of this year and into early 2021 too.
It was interesting because I didn't expect to see as much success as we have seen with our small business owners. So many of them, in the beginning, it was just one call after another of how are they going to move forward? How do they get this money from the government? That was the other thing we were able to assist with because the SBA gave us a training so that they could let us know that all of the rules for the PPP and the idle loan, the advances. So we did that part, but then I started talking to people who needed to pivot and they wanted to pivot. They already had ideas and then they put them into place, talked to me about them. And that was really exciting when I hear last month was our best month ever. So there are people doing it, and some of them are retail business. It just really depends on how quick you are to turn and how quick you are to react. You have to react. You have to, if you can be proactive, that's always better, but no one knew COVID was around the corner. Mm-hmm. So react quickly, figure out how you're going to get it done and get it done.
Excellent. That's great to hear there's so much success. And you are in the Kenosha area, so you must have seen some businesses that may have been impacted by some of the actual rioting and other activities that took place too, which is an anomaly. That's not everywhere. So do you have, but that was a true impact to that particular community. So can you speak to that? Have you counseled many businesses through that, or I know there's a lot of resources too, correct?
Actually, that is probably even worse than the COVID situation, because what happened is they're all boarded up, and although it looks cute, what they've done with Kenosha Strong and Black Lives Matter, people don't seem to understand that they are also open. That downtown is open, uptown is open, except for some of the the burnt buildings. Oh, that's horrible. But
right.
We at UW Parkside are really trying to assist those business owners. We're going to help them with Facebook and marketing for free, and that's through the UW Parkside as well as the SBDC. So that's kind of a fun thing that we're going to start doing.
That's wonderful. So if somebody wanted to get started, we have a gentleman on the phone who's I think he's got an early stage actually not on the phone, but on our call today, who's an early stage business owner, and there will be many that will follow him. And some people are aware that the SBDC exists, and many are not actually. And so how do they get started having those first conversations with you, Mary?
Really has to do is go to our website, which I'm sure we have in here somewhere. Go to our website and register for consulting. And at that point, we will contact you, figure out a day we can get together. And at this point, I'm still doing phone appointments and video Zoom appointments. So That's all you have to do to get started with us. And then we put a plan together if you need a plan or if you just need resources, whatever. The nice thing about this too is that I have the whole network of our Wisconsin SBDCs to work through, and they're fabulous. And everybody has a different thing that they're very good at. So we have experts in almost every area that we can find that for you.
That's awesome. That's really great. So, being a banker, I've always worked hand in hand with SBDCs over the years, and I've had business owners that have come in for financing, and you alluded to that earlier. And it's really, why do you need a business plan? Because you want to get a loan, so banks, startup businesses, banks will require that. But I have often thought that while you do have that business plan, it isn't something you just do once, a one and done kind of situation, but you should often refer back to that. What are your thoughts about continuing to review the plan and update and revise and benchmarking and projections? What are your thoughts there, Mary?
Definitely. That's definitely something. It should be like a reference. It's almost like a reference manual for you to go back, be sure you're doing everything that you said you were going to do as far as marketing goes, costs. And if you find that there's a cost problem, you need to start looking around for a different supplier. You want to try and go as well to the plan as you can. Sometimes it's not practical. So for whatever reason, and you have to change your mind, but you just write that in there so that you know what you're doing moving forward. It can be very enlightening. And anybody who starts without a business plan, I suggest they come back and do a business plan. I've had several people do that, and that was a real eye-opener to them.
Absolutely.
So a business plan is also for a feasibility sort of situation. I had a guy who came in, he wanted to open a pizza restaurant in downtown Racine. And by the end of our business planning class, he knew it wasn't going to make enough money. So we saved him the frustration of starting a business that could never make enough money and him quitting his job to find that out. So it was eye-opening for him. So it's also to help you save your money and your time and everything, and right out the gate that this is not going to work. So it's a learning process as well.
Excellent. And so you offer the business planning process one-on-one as well as classes. I noticed that you have some classes called Mind Edge classes, and how do those benefit small business owners? Tell us about that.
Well, what's great about those is, so if somebody doesn't understand financial statements, I can do some of that with them, but I don't want to take all my time and be an educator, for each person. I just wouldn't be able to touch as many people. So I refer them to the Mind Edge programs, and there's one in there, a course to learn how to read financial statements, what each line means, how that can affect your business, and they're great. They're very integrative. So like you talk, you do annotation, you do a lot of different things in it.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So if you had someone who is an entrepreneur starting up, kicking off a business, they develop a business plan, and then they're looking for investor funding. Do you often encounter those types of businesses, and how do you work with a business owner like that?
Well, people talk about investors a lot. There's so much more to it than just finding an investor, because there's groups that do investing that's called angel investors, but they're looking for something. They're looking to see what the return is on their investment. So you have to have a strategy around that. So a business plan is great, but when you're going to go in front of a board of venture capitalists, that's a whole different story. We don't typically, I mean, I can help somebody find a venture capitalist group, but we don't typically speak to that, just because a lot of our clients are startup and they're looking for somebody who has had sales. They know that they're needed in the market. They've done feasibility study. So if a second stage company came to me and said, I need to move forward in growth, I don't want to take out another loan, I'd like to find some investors, well, then that's a possibility, and I can help them figure that out. New businesses, though, are it's really hard to find a investor for that unless it's your grandma.
Your friends, family. Mm-hmm.
However, there is something called Kiva, which is very cool. I learned about Kiva when I was working with WIBIC, because they started out doing third world investing. So they take $25, give it to a woman who makes baskets, and she could do so much with that $25, and then she would pay us back. So I started out and I started doing that, and then Kiva actually came to the United States, and instead of giving $25, now it's more like $5,000. And Kiva has a strong presence here in Wisconsin. I have all their information. And what Kiva does is they have you, first of all, I believe you need a business plan, but you also have to raise money on your own through Facebook or through an online venue. And whatever you raise, they'll match it, and then you'll pay those investors back. So I invested in a company, and I get paid $1.50 every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But they pay back, and so it's really interesting. So that's something that is open to small business owners.
Right, that's exciting. So I imagine a lot of what you're doing at the SBDC is you're helping that business owner prepare for a presentation to a bank. Is that correct? Do you spend some time in that?
Oh,
And how do you approach that? What sorts of steps do you take? You described it a little, but I'd love to hear more details about it.
okay, well, I just finished one, and not finished, but finished that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a man come to me, and he was I want to say a metal worker, and he wanted to start his own business for his family because he's got 4 boys, and he thought this would be great. And so as we started talking, he ended up taking the class and writing a business plan. And then I worked with him for the next 3 months to get it to be perfect for a lender. Now, this is the other problem when you're starting a business. Banks typically will not finance your startup because they look at historical sales in order to do a loan. So they typically won't, but we do have a couple of economic development operations that will do that. And one of those is WIBIC.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is RCEDC. CABA might if it's a bigger start. So anyway, he finished that up, and I happen to know everything that you need to know about WIBIC because I was their lender at one time. So I package up everything he needs for WIBIC. We get into a folder on his laptop, and then I give a introduction of him to that lender, which is Rick here in Kenosha. And Rick kicks off with it and gets him going to his loan committee. And we just heard he got $250,000 for his startup.
Congratulations. Yes. That's very exciting.
Very exciting, very exciting. And now we're off. He has to get some other stuff together for the closing packet. But he needs to find a place. We need to, and these are all things that I'm going to continue to help him with. So I know some people who in other economic development organizations that can help him find a place, or who know about vacant areas, the opportunity. There's just so much now that we have to review again. So there's just so many steps. It takes so long sometimes. If you think you're going to start something in, say, March, you probably won't actually start it until like November. Commercial lending takes time because there's so much involved in it, and also because things just don't go your way. It's leases and build outs, and there's a lot of other people you have to depend on to actually get your business going, and their timeline is not always what your timeline is. So it's just interesting how people think that they're just going to do this, and then they're going to do this, and it never happens as quickly as you think it's going to. I have a customer who, and you might know them, Arlene, who have been working on their brewery for 5 years.
I do.
To get
I do think I did.
Started.
Right.
And that I've been with them for the last 3 of those years, and it's just been one thing after another. But they persevere. They keep going because they know it's going to end up being a really good thing for them. So you just have to be patient.
That's great. So it sounds like you're a relationship focused too, Mary, which I've always thought was the case. And you literally work with a business owner from the early stage to talk about getting $250,000 approved as a startup during COVID times is really exceptionally great. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
No question.
Yes,
But your work, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just so excited for him. I particularly,
that's a beautiful
because I just couldn't believe it, but he was very excited.
Right.
So
but the work doesn't stop there. The loan is approved, and then you continue to be involved with this business through the next part of the journey, which is the launch, and then the other activities that follow. And then as they continue through the process, they may come back and need more counseling and more money and more ideas about what the next steps could and should be. So this, in some regards, is sort of an early stage, cradle to through many years, if all goes well for that business owner.
Oh yeah, years. And I'm still involved in. You have heard of Erica's Jewelry?
Yes.
Erica's Jewelry. Well, I started her when I was in U.S. Bank. I started her in her little shop on 22nd Avenue. And I got her loan to start that, and now she's moved. She's done great things. She tried a stint out there in at the outlet mall, but it didn't work. But it didn't work. So you don't just stay out there and fail. You regroup, and that's what she's done. So that's a long 17-year relationship. So yeah. And I was proud of her too.
Yes, that's amazing. So the impacts are really tremendous. What's important for people to know, I think, is that that sort of story that the SBDC can be there and is there to support businesses through all sorts of through many life cycles, not just the early stage but beyond. And then as resources change too, Mary, I perceive you're keeping up with the different offerings that are being provided. You were involved in the SBA, PPP loans, and are you doing anything on the forgiveness side, or businesses seeking your assistance in how to maneuver through that? Has that been part of your process at all?
Yes, we have been trained on forgiveness. However, we aren't doing any of it, and it's really the banks who you did the loan through that know about what you have to do for forgiveness. So We can find out, and we did have some training on it. So yeah, we're always we try to be as up to date as possible, not only with that type of loan, but like with the RCEDC, they have so many loan programs and ways to help small business owners. They're very willing to help, and I think that's amazing.
I agree. And just if you could share a few details about the RCEDC, I understand they're located in Racine, and so they primarily support businesses that are in Racine County. Is that correct?
It's very different because the RCEDC is an economic development company. Within that is BLP, which is called Business Lending Partners. That's their lending grant arm. And they are an SBA lender, so they actually lend throughout the state of Wisconsin.
Right.
But the revolving loan funds, their city loans, village loans, like Union Grove had a grant for some of the COVID situations. They've got revolving, those are all for the Racine County. And
Okay.
some are just city, and some are just for hair salons. It just depends. They've got a lot of stuff going all the time.
That's great. It sounds like you keep up on that though, and I think the WEDC, as I understand, just offered a grant program up to $5,000 for businesses that have been impacted by COVID. Is that true? And what other resources are you aware of?
It's called We're All In, and that is from the WEDC, which is Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. And they earlier they did a $2,500 grant that they gave to small business owners. We were part of that in that we had to verify that businesses were real businesses in our area. And because of the popularity of that and how wonderful it really helped a lot of small business owners, they're going to do it again for $5,000. That I haven't had a training on yet. I think it opened October 19th, maybe. I would have to.
Coming up, I think it's Monday is when it kicks off.
Oh,
I learned, but yes, any day now that launches. Yeah. But yeah, that's very exciting. And then the city of Kenosha has another grant for or 50,000. Is that a loan or a grant? Are you up on that one? Very familiar.
That is a loan also.
Okay.
And what's happening is a lot of small business owners don't want to take on additional debt.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the loans are not as well received, obviously. But if they can see an end game, then they should go for some of this low interest, where they give you a half a year to not pay or interest free, some of that stuff. So yeah, Kenosha also has something like that.
Sure. So what other resources can you think of that might be helpful to the business owners? We at Tech Prize are really looking to bring in entrepreneurs and help them develop ideas and to take those ideas and actually bring them through a mentoring process and then ultimately to launch businesses. And I think you could play a key role in that throughout that process. But what sorts of key ideas might you share with us this morning that could be helpful as somebody is going through that process, and perhaps even as they're thinking about getting ready to talk with you and launch and et cetera? Any really good key thoughts that you might share this morning?
When I was a commercial lender at U.S. Bank, I did not even know all this stuff existed. I had no idea that there was an economic development place called WIBIC that helped people start their businesses. I had no idea. So I think one of the biggest things you can do for yourself is become a part of the entrepreneur network, to start networking with other entrepreneurs in places like this for Tech Prize. Awesome way to start touching people and getting them used to your idea, and then you're getting used to their ideas. You're meeting a lot of different people. Just in this one room here, we've got a lot of people who are instrumental in helping businesses start. So, and who are, very ingrained in the community. So that's a big thing, to be ingrained in your community, because the more people you know, the more people who can use your service or buy your product. It's very important that you get into the startup stuff, the hatch ideas, like I said, the tech prize, where they're giving away money for you to start your business. You just got to prove it's worth it. So that's a huge thing that I think you need to do. I also think you need to find a mentor. If you can find somebody that you can help you in what you're doing, it might not be right here. Like, I know I had somebody who wanted to start an adult family home, but she needed to ask somebody somewhere else in some other city in Wisconsin, because otherwise they're vying for the same customer. So, and sometimes people are willing to do that. And there's a lot of people, when you're doing research for your business idea, you have to call another person or business owner and ask them questions. Most of the time they will be willing to do that, as long as you're not a problem, like a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
give yourself a mentor, even if it's me or SCORE. My business, I also have a business consultant in my office. Her name is Barbara, and she is also a business consultant like I used to be, and she does the same type of thing as I do. So anybody that you can think of that has had a business and are willing to help would be good.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. And then what are your thoughts about franchise operations as businesses are starting up? Many people are actually looking for an opportunity. Maybe they've lost their job and they've got some cash set aside. What are your thoughts about franchise operations and launching those?
I think franchises can be very good. However, I don't think you always need, some people are very afraid to start doing something on their own. Unless it's a name that is very well recognized. The nice thing about franchises is they already have name recognition. They already have all the processes involved, but they do take part of your money, so they have a royalty fee. Mm-hmm. And they charge you for all the marketing all the marketing stuff, and you can only use their stuff. So there's a lot of good things about it, but there's some bad too. So it's really something you have to navigate through. The SBA has a list of franchises that are approved that you should look at, because if they're not approved by the SBA, I would be a little worried.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And you might have trouble getting financing if they're not approved as well. Mm-hmm. Sure. In addition, I'm just thinking about, with regards to networking and other ways to promote your business. You talked about getting to know folks in the community. I know with COVID, it's not as easy, but are you an advocate, and are you encouraging your business owners to get out there and network to talk about and promote their business? And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's one of the draws of also doing our ETP program, because you're going to be in a room or in a virtual room with possibly 10 people who you're going to get to know over a period of 10 weeks. They're going to know all about your business, all about everything you're doing, your family, everything. And those are relationships you can cultivate throughout your entrepreneurial travel. And it's awesome to have somebody to actually talk about it. It's very lonely when you're building a business by yourself and no one seems to understand what you're going through. and it's very frustrating, and it's something you think about constantly. And it's when I've always hear about, yeah, a guy told me that I should apply for all these grants. And I'm like, so did he get one of these grants? And they're like, no, but he said he heard all about all these grants. Well, you know what? There are grants, but they're usually very specific. You have to live a certain area. You can't just go get one of these grants, you know? So you don't listen to people who have not been a business owner. They need to be a business owner for them to really understand you.
So it sounds like there was peer-to-peer mentoring going on in those groups as well.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. I think that's really an important thing to be able to be a part of. And whether that's a networking group, going to the chamber events, even if they're virtual right now, go to them. Meet people, meet your community leaders, anybody in your realm. If you're going to open a store in downtown Kenosha, go downtown Kenosha, talk to the business owners down there, see what their level of comfort is with the amount of people coming through. You know, talk to people. And you have to be able to talk about your business too.
Very good. And then what do you think about surrounding yourself with trusted advisors? You know, a good CPA and attorney, those seem to me as a banker to be pretty invaluable. What are your thoughts on that?
The thing is, people are so excited about their passion and that they get to do this thing that they've been longing to do, and they seem to always forget about the financial side or the operations side, that unless that's working, you're not going to make money. And if you're not going to make money, why are you doing this? You know? So yes, an accountant that can actually talk to you about financial statements and help you figure out what you should be doing. A lawyer, if you have patents and things like that need to be filed. A banker who can also stand by you, get you to meet people that are in the area for you. They're great resources for also different ways of doing banking, like treasury management, cash management, all that kind of stuff. And it just makes life easier for you. Accountants can help you with QuickBooks, but you need to have something like QuickBooks to be able to tell people or to tell yourself where you are. Are you making money this month or not? You should always know that. So yeah, insurance agents, they're great too. So those are the key people you need in your corner.
Oh, okay. Okay, awesome. Does anybody here in the session have questions for Mary specifically? So appreciate all of the great information you shared, Mary, but anybody else have questions right now?
Well, I'm kind of curious this is Jeff, Mary, how you doing?
Hi, Jeff.
I'm curious, how many folks does like the different groups? I think you said there were 12 or 13 of you around the state. How many folks do we assist?
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm going to say,
I'm just curious.
Yeah. I did get information on that, not too just like yesterday, but I don't remember what it was. Okay. There's each of us probably talk to 500 businesses a year.
So a couple of working day kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's like thousands of people in a year that we touch, and then the business starts are a portion of that, and so yeah, we do make a big impact, but they don't do any major marketing for us like out in the world, which means that people don't know about us unless people like me are out networking.
Or people like us are helping that.
Right.
Yes.
Is there in any way an archive that says, here's some of the different startups that are doing topics A, B, C, D, E, you know, the gamut. Because a lot of people come up with ideas that they could leverage existing capacities in something, right? Open office space, open manufacturing space, open resources, open shifts in a manufacturing environment or something like that. Do we have any kind of archive like that that kind of gives us our inventory in our state or our community?
Well, there usually the economic development place has that information. Like Racine, RCEDC has I think it's Laura Million,
Mm-hmm.
who actually would be the one who would take care of that sort of thing, like the inventory of properties, leasing or not leasing, that sort of thing. And they also seem to know about, you know, businesses going out of business so that their fixtures and equipment are for sale, that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's really the economic development companies that keep that kind of information.
Okay. I was just thinking that would be a great place to connect people with like.
Oh, yeah.
So you could leverage that and not have to go through the pain of individual startups, maybe join with someone that's already 3/4 of the way down that path.
Yes, that's a great point to make. And also they have different networking groups too that you can become a part of. Racine County, CABA, they have classes, or they have, you know, stuff that you didn't even think about. So check out their websites, CABA and RCEDC. And actually, we have another thing that's really awesome for people who are thinking about starting a business. It's called First Steps. It's online. And I think I gave you the link to that too, Arlene. If not, I can get it to you. It's online, and it's really a great little class to help you really understand what it means to be a business owner, what you have to give up, what you gain, you know, and just to prepare you so that you understand that. I'm not sure. I do want to talk about a type of business plan. The traditional type of business plan is what you need when you go to a lender. And it's like a research paper. So it's very thick. And some people say it doesn't need to be thick. For a bank, it does. You have to have research in it. It has to have all the components of everything you're doing. These people, the banks are going to give you, are going to give you money. You have to show them that you're worth it. So that's what that's about. The lean business model is more about writing down your ideas and figuring out where all the pieces come together. And it has all the key components of a business plan, but it's it's a one-page deal. I believe you guys are having a lean startup guy speak.
We are November 7th, actually. So this is very timely discussion for sure.
So you should join that. Like some people who like start a management consultant group and they don't necessarily need financing, and they are really looking at marketing as to what they really need from a business plan. They tend to want to go to a business model, a lean business model. So these are just other ways that we can help you in that. And I talked about all this already. I just wanted to see if there was anything I'm missing. And then these are all the different pieces that we have online. There is the how to read a financial statement, introduction to finance, understanding and managing budgets, and I thought business law for entrepreneurs was awesome.
Oh, good.
This is me and the business consultant. And any questions or comments? Okay, so that's what I've got for you today.
Thank you, Mary.
That's excellent.
Two websites, actually. One is on the Wisconsin SBDC.org, and one is on the UW Parkside website. You just type in SBDC and you'll find us. And then you can just request a consultation and we will do that. We will get going with you. So that's pretty much how you can reach us. And I am so excited for the Tech Prize to start their challenges and all this education that they're giving is awesome. So looking forward to working together.
Excellent, as we are with you. Is there a phone number we might reach you at as well? Do you have a number?
Yes, 262-595-3362.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Again, everybody have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to the next Biz Shop session.
Thank you, Mary.